Hello the internets, welcome back to Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict, and we have finally a summer rerun after so long. We are getting a banner where you will be able to select 1 out of 6 characters on a screen right now, all of those girls, and you can switch at any given point and use your milliards as usual. Normal rates, 4% for an SSR, 2% for any of these girls. They are not over spec or pilgrim units. That said, it's really hard recommending pulling for them, but in case you do go for your waifu, in case you do pull for some of them, I want to make this video to talk about how to build each and every single one of the characters on the screen right now, how to build them, skills, gear recommendations, themes, raid usage since they came out up until today, and a little bit of my usual jabbing in between. So before we start, leave a like, subscribe, and make grow the channel. And let's jump directly, and we can start, if you guys want, with the useless one probably. Also, by the way, even though I'm saying like one copy cope skip, in my opinion all of them are skips because we just came out of half anniversary. We are going into summer event next, which is basically literally after this event with the Arc Ranger Black. We're going into summer, and then most likely after summer we will be getting a second collab. So it's really hard recommending people to pull for specific banners, because right now at the moment, right, you are getting 2 characters on November, 2 characters on April, 1% all of them, 1 summer pilgrim, and a new year pilgrim. And that already is a lot of gold milliards you have to save, not counting seasonal and collab characters, right? So that's why it's kind of hard recommending to pull for a lot of these characters right now, because it doesn't matter if they are pretty decent, even the ones here on top, Annie's, Helm, and Rosanna. Just because the amount of banners we get currently in the game that are 1%, and you know, a lot more important to be ticketing than standard units like Mint, Prika, or the new Power Ranger. That's it. Out of the introduction, let's jump directly into this guide, and I want to start, like I said, with the most useless character in this list, and that's gonna be Neon herself. Now, Neon has one of the best designs for summer, but sadly one of the worst kits in the game. In the game, by the way, I'm not even talking about like, you know, a bad B3, but you can still use her like EH or Summer Sakura. No, this is like one of the worst kits in the game. They even buffed her after she came out, and it did nothing. Now, at least she's good eye candy, right? At least she's good eye candy. I cannot recommend anything when it comes to her because she sucks. If you wanted to build her, just go for the 777, do not go higher, and just go for a basic beach build with elemental damage and attack, nothing else. I wouldn't give priority to reroll, I wouldn't give priority for usage. I just cannot recommend using her or ticketing her or pulling for her on any circumstance outside of completing your Pokédex, which in that case it's completely fine, right? A pity because she looks fantastic. I hope the new Neon actually gets a good skin so we can appreciate her assets a bit more. Now, the useless character out of the way. I'm sorry, Neon, for being so harsh with you. Let's talk a little bit about Summer Mary. Summer Mary is another character that, by today's standards, you don't really need to pull. It's a character that can be used for new players, or if you are a player who just returned to the game and you have her from 2024, whenever she was released, I think it was 2024, then you can use her. She can be used, but it's not a character that by today's standards finds its place anywhere. Maybe for solo raids on like a team 5, depending on your roster, and even there it's really hard to recommend her. Her biggest problem, like any big one in the game, is that she does not have cooldown reduction. So she's competing for the most competitive spot in the game while not having much value to offer in exchange. So nice assets, really nice skin on how she looks, right? But when it comes to her kit, the only good thing is her skill 2, and that's the only thing you need to be worrying about. It's her skill 2. You can go for a 474, that is more than enough. I wouldn't even recommend going for a 474, but if you want to use her, you can 474. For some reference on how to build her, she can work with either a resilience cube or anything that will increase her heals, because she is a healer character, right? It's a character that not only will heal you when you enter full burst, but when you burst with her, she also will increase max HP, and she will increase attack only for water code allies. And the same thing for her skill too. She increases elemental damage for everyone only if they are water code allies. So this is a water buffer. Now, as a water buffer, that's like the only thing you care about, right? Is just giving her a cube to heal more and low priority to reroll. The biggest problem she has is that even if she's a character that, you know, is gonna be used as a buffer, her numbers are not there. Now, this is Summer Mary versus Doro, my OG Doro. It's not even a good comparison, right? It's like 17 and 16 billion damage. Now, she does move a little bit, but it's not even that much. Like, without Summer Mary, and remember, Summer Mary is giving the attack on burst, and she's giving all of this elemental damage after 3 rotations, right? And even there, she's not even moving that much. Without her, Snow White is doing 9.4, with her 10.6, Privacy 2.7 to a 3.2. If you were to be taking both her burst and skill 2 to level 10, which God bless your soul if you do that, could you be getting a bigger buff? Yes, but it's not going to be nowhere near to like a proper team composition where you don't have to worry about your B1 not having cooldown reduction. When we talk about B1s without cooldown reduction that can compete, it's mostly treasure characters, and it's mostly on T1. Let me go to actually B1s. It's mostly Toph, Sui, and Miranda, because the buffs they provide are worth actually not having cooldown reduction, and you can use something like Celine, something like the Killer Wife, something that makes sense. But for someone like Mary, you're just losing too much in contrast to bringing a proper character. So I don't recommend pulling for her, but if you do, just focus on skill 2, a little bit on her burst, you're good to go. Low priority to reroll her gear, and the cube, just either anything to increase her reload or anything to increase her heals, like the Vigor or the healing ones, right? That's it, nothing else. So that's for Summer Mary, a character that sadly does not really deserve much love, as much as I like her design, not when it comes to actual usage. And even if we check the solo rate usage right here, as you guys can see, she has nothing, like literally nothing. She got used a little bit on 24 for Black Snake. She got used when she was released, right, back when she was released, and there were less characters. She got some usage, but the moment we started getting actually B1s into the game, she just completely lost her place in the meta. So Summer Mary is another character that I cannot recommend pulling on any circumstance. Now we go into the GOAT tier, which is Sakura. Sakura is a character that I like. She is our first official wife at the end of the day, right? Nice first official wife, but she cannot really compete as a proper damage dealer. Now, I'll show some damage number comparisons and whatnot. Quickly TLDR on how her kit works in case you guys don't have her or are planning on pulling for her or just don't remember. She is a character that for the most part works on 2 situations: sustain damage and damage to parts. Damage to parts, it's situational, it's hard to come by, depends on shift up and what bosses they decide to put, right, as usual. And sustain damage, we do have good sustain damage characters, like it's the case for Mihara, like it's the case for is it Raven, or am I right now tripping? Well, we have a couple good sustain damage characters. Sakura herself is not that great. So damage to parts is situational, and it's also only, you know, depending on what Shifter wants to do with the bosses, and her own self buffs are not as big as Mihara Bonded Jade. As a 7/7 character, level 5 gear, by the way, pretty decent lines, 421k combat power. If I compare her with most of the other girls, and let me go right here, as you guys can see, she's doing 2.5 billion damage in contrast to SBS and Nayuta. Now, SBS is getting, you know, more benefits on this team, but it's fine. 10 billion, 6.5, Sakura doing 2.5, and Annie's 3.6. If I switch Scarlet to just like a simple Wasuka, Wasuka is still performing as well as Nayuta. A really good character considering it's an old collab unit, right? Like more than a year old. She's holding up really well. 7.4, 7 on Nayuta, and then Annie is doing 4 billion on its own. Now, you put into contrast, Sakura falls behind even characters like EH. My EH is less invested than that than my Sakura, but it's still doing 4 billion damage, which is what Anis is doing, right? like the best B1 in the game, my EH can at least deal decent damage. Obviously, EH benefits in this team a little bit more than Sakura, but it's just so you guys can see where she is at the moment. If you do want to build Sakura, she can be used on solo raids, even though it's not as popular. If you guys check here, she is used only on the Wind Week raids. This is when she came out. This is the next one, 74. This is the current one, 40%, the previous one on Queen 001. And the next one will be season 38. The next one is Wind Week. We'll see what percentage she gets. When it comes to building her, Omega Simple character, she is already reloading pretty fast, you know, 1 second reload. So you want to be going either Bastion or you can just directly go with Distraction, since she's a character that works with parts pretty well. When it comes to her gear, super basic build, elemental damage and attack, grid, lines and hit rate as fillers. You don't really need maximum capacity, but one line is welcome. Again, she's a pretty fast reload already, so no really need for that. When it comes to pros and cons, she is the official wife. Honestly, I don't think we need to go over pros and cons on each character. If you guys are interested, you can go into the website and check them on your own. But I don't think it's on the scope of this video to not make it super long. I'd rather just go over the basic builds and why those characters might be good or bad. So that's for Sakura. We can now go into the good characters, the characters that you actually need to pull a copy if you can afford it only for free-to-plays. In my opinion, skip this whole banner and just focus on the new girls, right? But if you can afford to get a copy, these are the 3 kills that are actually pretty good. Samaranis, Helm Aquamarine, and Rosanna. I do not have numbers for Rosanna, so we can start with her if you guys want. I have numbers for the other 2, however. Rosanna is a character that, even though she's a sustained damage buffer, she was released with Sakura to be paired together, she can be used on any team. She does not need to be paired with sustained damage characters, and that is because she provides damage taken on her burst, and that is the only thing you care on her kit. Damage taken for all enemies for 10 seconds, which is great. Anything else she provides is not as useful, is not really good. You don't even really care, because she only has some damage to pass at the beginning of the battle, and she only has increased attack if you're breaking parts. So we go back into the same thing. Does the boss has parts that you can take advantage of this or not? And the same is for this damage to parts. It's only at the beginning of the battle and then never again. So if the boss has parts, it's a good character. If not, you only bring her for her damage taken. That's it. Now, damage taken is enough that she still gets usage. Like, it's still enough that, as you guys can see, she's commonly seen in solo raids. It depends what we have. Obviously, there's been times where she was never used by the top players. But all in all, we have enough B2s that she can remain competitive considering what we have. So if we go into B2s, Summer Sakura should be right here on T3, which is a pretty good spot for her. There are a lot of good units in here. She's also super cheap to build, so it's a character that if you get a copy, you literally only focus on her burst to level 10, and her skill 1 and 2 you can leave at level 4. If you wanted to be a little bit more competitive, if you wish, right, you could be instead going for a 7, 7, 10. But I feel it's way too expensive for the usage she currently gets. Again, currently. But it's a nice character. When it comes to building her, super basic beach build. Once again, like the majority of characters in this game, Resilience, Passion, or Quantum, depending on your team composition. If there is good pair generation, you don't care about Quantum. If your team is kind of slow, it can help a little bit. It can help, alright? It can help. So either Quantum, Resilience, or Bastion. And when it comes to her gear, you don't really need to be even overloading her, if you guys ask me at least. Obviously, it's caster's attack. So for the skill 1, you could be going for that, say for the final attack here on the skill 2. So if you want to build her and get a bit more from her buffs, I would recommend you overload her. Do not reroll her gear. It doesn't really benefit from my specific lines. And you could also put the doll on her. I don't have one on her. As much as I love her design, I just have no resources at the moment to be building this great waifu. My god, she looks fine. I always forget how fine Rosanna looks on her summer version though. My god, she's fine looking. Alright, so enough pooning. Let's go into the next character. And it's going to be Helm Aquamarine. We can start with her probably. Helm Aquamarine is one of the strongest iron debuffers. Important iron debuffer. So she is the same as using your breed for fire content, right? Or your arcana on your shotgun teams, or your Velvet on your Wind teams. She has her own place, and it's for those raids specifically. Good waifu, good assets, can be used for that, and it's cheap to build just like the other supports. As you guys can see, for iron content, she's always used, obviously only on those iron raids. Outside of iron, it's harder to see her. The reason why you guys are seeing usage here is because this was early NIKKE, and we didn't have as many characters, so you know, getting another B2 was nice, and she has cooldown reduction as well. So outside of that, it's purely iron content, as you guys can see. Now, for iron content, she is a great character, and I really mean it. Like, she is a good character. She's not a character you want to be bursting with. Let's showcase her kit a little bit really quickly. And Marco Marin, she also looks really good, honestly, can't complain. In terms of fan service, just grab a copy of each character here. In terms of her kit, she's a B2 with cooldown reduction that you, for the most part, want to focus on her skill 2 for the damage taken, nothing else. You don't really burst with her, so you can ignore her burst. And her skill 1, even though you could be going for a higher level for better cooldown, it's in here. It's like liter, like volume, where you need to burst 3 times to take more advantage of it. So if you want, you could be going for level 7, but for most people, this is a character you only use for the skill 2. So the recommendations for the build at the moment are just going to be 4, 7, 10, 4. You don't burst with her, you only worry about that skill 2 for the damage taken when enemies are electric code, right? And it's a pretty good skill, by the way. Outside of that, low priority to reroll is a support character if you wanted to squeeze more damage out of her, obviously, right? As a sub DPS, you go for elemental and attack, just like any character in this game. Like, guys, building characters in NIKKE is really simple. It's elemental and attack, and then ammo in 99% of the cases. And now we're also finally going to go for crit damage, crit rate as filler lines, or charge damage or speed, depending on if it's a sniper rifle or rocket launcher. But building characters in this game is not a mystery. If it's a support unit, they get low priority to reroll their lines, and if you want to build it as a DPS, then elemental damage and attack take priority, and that's about it, alright? She pairs well on any team with any iron DPS, and for some damage reference in here, if I go into my iron teams right here, 33 billion, 32, 31, and as you guys can see on this one, running privacy, right? My Rap is doing 14, Raven 10, and then switching to Helm, Rap is doing 13, and here 10. This is with Crown, by the way, Crown Privacy. Privacy is the strongest buffer in the game at the moment. I will say I'm among the strongest, at least for B3s is the strongest for sure. The strongest of burst buffer, let's say, right? So Privacy is there, is doing 33, 32 with Helm, and then with OG Helm, still fantastic with her treasure, doing 31. So this is a character that can compete with the meta supports on her element. Outside her element, there is no reasons to bring her unless you're a new player who doesn't have a lot of characters and you want to take advantage of the cooldown reduction. But for the most part, it's just for that and nothing else, right? And then the last character that I do want to be talking about is going to be obviously Anise, my wife, her summer version. And Anise is also on a pretty good spot when it comes to electric support characters. There are a lot of electric supports currently in the game. So if we just filter by electric, honestly, electric, right now the most common buffers outside of, you know, Privacy, Helm, Treasures, etc. for electric is going to be Alawon, is going to be Summer Anise, and is going to be your Maiden, those 3. And that's like its general buffers. Then if you go into like the specific buffers, you have Trina for assault rifles, and you have what is she, because I am blind, you have Arcana, which will work with shotguns that increase the cooldown time, reduce, I never remember what Isabel does, whatever she does, right? But it's Omega niche. Both Arcana and Trina are niche characters. So when it comes to electric buffers, Summer Anise is still one that it is popular to use and to run only for electric content, just like Helm, it's for iron content. So as you guys can see, 100%, always use, even before we had a lot of characters, because we've always used a Cinderella team before, right? Cindy was like one of the most popular B3s to run. The electric team was a staple even of Element, so she was always being used. Now, Nowadays, that is not the case anymore because we have so many characters that finally you can run teams on Element without having to use you know, an electric team everywhere else. There are still some teams we run everywhere on every single raid. That could be the shotgun team, but all in all, Anise is a fantastic character you can use for electric weak content. She does not lose to the current strongest characters even after how long it's been. If you go into the electric teams right here, running Crown, Neon Vision Eye, Cinderella, Anise Star, and then switching the buffer from Anise or Summer Anise, Privacy, Treasure, and Christmas Maiden. And as you guys can see, 39, 40 billion, 39 billion, they are all fantastic buffers. The only thing you need to worry about Summer Anise, if we talk a little bit about how to properly build her, is max ammo. You never want max ammo on her or characters that can increase max ammo, even though some of those teams are not the best ones, it's as a reference. But still, she's a character that as long as you avoid max ammo, you are good, right? And that is because she works as a character that when fighting the last bullet, she's gonna be fighting a big ass missile, which will be hitting really hard for 382% of final attack as damage, right? These missiles are the bread and butter of her damage in most situations, and then when she bursts, she will also, when you enter full burst, she will be increasing attack and reload speed for all electric code allies, and that's why she is so good as a buffer as well. When it comes to building her, I feel 10 is kind of expensive by today's standards in terms of how much usage she gets. So a 779 works, it's more than enough, but this is a kind of a 10 character. If you get about rates, and look at this, how could you not love Anise? Alright, she will eat fried chicken with you and have a beer. It's a 10 waifu, she deserves it. For build itself, avoid Bastion Cube, always go with Resilience, or if the boss has parts, you can go also for the Destruction Cube, and that will work no problem, right? Destruction or Resilience are the cubes. When it comes to her gear, super basic beach, elemental, and attack, and you avoid max ammo. You can go for crit as fillers, since you are avoiding max ammo, but this depends on how much you're willing to reroll her. To me personally, as much as I love her, I have too many characters on my reroll list, right? Pending, so I'm not going for anything else. But that's basically for these 6 characters and what I would recommend, how I would recommend building them in case you guys are interested. Like I said at the beginning, I would not recommend pulling for them right now. I think for new players, you skip all of them. Like literally, you do not pull on this banner. This is for veterans or for people who are looking to complete their Pokédex, or for tryhards, or for obviously spenders. If you're not a spender, go for it. But free to play, there is just too many banners currently in the game to actually go and try to fish for one of these girls. When the next banner most likely it's a rerun for Dorothy plus a new Pilgrim for Summer, right? So that's my opinion, but as usual, you guys do with your pulls whatever you feel like doing. All that jumping aside, that's everything for this video. We are live every single day, links in the description, guides on the website available and always updated as well, waifus.com. I am out, good luck with your pull, and I'll see you in the next one.